Hi all, NeoElph here. This one should be short and sweet, though. Note also it's vital, in my opinion, at least, to understand. I say this because there was a time in my life when I thought I understood this simple law, which it actually is quite simple. And to a certain extent I did, or on a certain level at least I did. However, I now, in addition, and maybe on a higher level, have more gnosis of this, mainly due to other knowledge gained in times past, combined with the understanding of fractality or holography, or as our world being created in what is a sensible fractal or holographic natures, which we can see, experience, feel, sense, which I know I can tend to harp on that a good bit, but it's simply for seeing its importance. I've also, after having experienced a multifaceted life in general, have studied the natural inherent patterns involved in order to determine the causes, plural, on many levels, and continue to do so for fun, for knowledge, and for further progress, further enlightenment, which in my opinion also has level. Due to this law or principle of cause and effect, or simply causality, applies, just as all the other laws, principles, on many levels, and some of which they supersede others, and some of which would be generalized as being subservient to others. They say knowledge is power. Those that would say that are correct, and also those that have power. But some of these levels aren't easily detectable from the first sensing, and some could go unnoticed, even for lifetimes, depending on the individual and their desire to find or get closer to unity, all, God, spirit, fill in the blank, and or find that sense of higher self within them. And we can look at it either way, actually. I'd ask that we attempt to note that this ancient law's importance, but also its potential for practical mental application, implementation, integration into our own individual lives for the self-betterment of that particular life, along with the self-betterment of others, of our friends, our family, our co-workers, our people we encounter. All right, so to quote the Kyballion, which of course is just one book, there are many important books, of course, but regardless, quote, "Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law." End quote. Let's break this down just a tad further. I'd have to add that the cause in question, which I'd agree is a most certainly a general result of law, God, spirit. All causes are. But this cause in question, whichever one that may be, has been affected prior via a different vectors or different forces. Some of these are stronger than others. They have more of that force component than other vectors, pointed in the same direction, right? These are all, in a sense, then added together or combined. And the one with the strongest force has the strongest influence on the end result or effect. So I do a Google image search on, say, causality, and I see quickly how many of the images have been labeled things like a problem tree or some kind of implication of something negative. And it's accurate to understand that some negative causes can be deterministic to what we could perceive as the resulting negative or evil. Maybe revisit, or if you haven't already, view my video on polarity to understand this better. But so why do we look at things this way? Why make these type of graphs? This is the inverse of the law of attraction, right? Or what we could call the law of repulsion even, which is actually just as real. But at the same time, this too is God, is spirit. One of the positive reasons, and again the advice rendered would be to revisit polarity, but one of the positive reasons for this negative type of force, I should say, is for a very positive reason, which maybe could be best stated as simply protection. Or we could use the word nurture. Similar things, these two words, despite their difference. But this is the inherent paradox. Another apparent type to what I just stated prior is, however, only protection in disguise. And in fact, with the potential to have been planned that way on purpose to fool certain groups or people. Now understand, you can choose to evaluate that on your own or not, but there are different fractal levels, I would say, in place regarding that last little bit. Or you can just choose to ignore them, but they are applicable, and I hope they're accurate. And if not, I would ask you to please correct me, or via comments or email, because I appreciate them all. So regarding causality, I have a few main points to take home or to the bank or wherever you dream. The first would be that causes can be traced back, but only when we're willing to evaluate both extremes of both of the main energies of that potential cause. And we have to look at the different branches, else we can make an error. And then once we make that one, we don't typically go back very easily, right? Though we could. But we have to ensure we're picking the branch that is the one that has the energy that is most accurate, which supplied the most of the energy of type X, which we'll call the cause of the effect Y. And this leads me to the second main point, which would be that forces intertwine, they intermingle, they repel, and they attract, but they all exist within a range, and they can add or subtract to that said cause. And so, lastly, and also obviously, the effect can most definitely transform or be born again into another cause. Though, don't think this is going to happen from the physical to the mental. It's not like that. The mental is always going to be a factor, regardless. I thank you all for listening today, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of